What's going on, guys? Thanks so much for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about what makes an expensive knife versus a cheap knife. Let's do it. Alright guys, I'm back. Thanks for being patient. I know I've been absent, haven't uploaded a video in a while. Had spring break, was on vacation, and then school got really crazy coming up into finals week here, and now I'm just taking a break from writing continuous papers to put out this video. So, we have two knives here. One, let's start with this one. The Gerber Paraframe. Let's see if I can get it open on one flick. There we go. This is about a $25 knife you can find at your standard sporting goods store. I don't know that they're making this gold one anymore, but they have a similar model. Like I said, $25. You can find it at, REI, Cabela's, wherever there's a sporting goods outdoor kind of store. Sometimes they even have these at like Walmart. Pretty much anywhere. They're pretty easy to find in stores. And yeah, I mean, that's all I gotta say to introduce it. We're gonna get into some details later. The Gerber Paraframe, and then we have the Benchmade 535/3 bug out, and this is their new for 2021 release. I have an official overview video that you can check out. I'll link here. This is a $250 knife. Yep. So we're going to talk about what makes this knife 10 times more expensive than this one. Is it actually worth that? I don't know that we can answer that, but we're going to get into it. So let's start with the obvious. Blade steel. We all know that a lot of more expensive knives have pretty considerable blade steel upgrades, and that a lot, I guess I don't know how much exactly of the cost comes from that, but a certain amount has to be located in the steel. So this Gerber, I think, is probably, I don't remember the exact steel, but it's got to be an 8CR of some variety, so 8CR13, 8CR14 MOV, something like that, which is what you're going to find on a lot of budget steels, or a lot of budget blades, sub $40 maybe. So, basically not stellar or noteworthy in any of the categories, but it's a blade and it's steel, so it'll cut, but it's not going to hold an edge, not going to be outrageously tough. This one I think is classified as stainless, but it's not super stainless on the scale of stainlessness. This gold coating, whatever it is, I don't even know what kind of coating this is, might help with that a little bit, but I haven't really tested it. Whereas on the bug out, CPM S90V. Focus for me here. There we go. So, for those of you who are not familiar, CPM is a crucible powder metallurgy steel, and S90V in particular is a very high wear resistance stainless steel. And so it's very hard, which makes it more difficult to machine, which drives up the cost. It's going to have very superior edge retention. Relative toughness probably isn't great when you compare it to things like Crewwear or M4, but it's fine. And yeah, so this is going to be one of those really high-performing steels, and so that's definitely a factor when it comes to the price, is this incredibly upgraded blade steel. Beyond that, another one of these sort of obvious things is the handle material. So this is a stainless steel frame lock, and these sort of generic stainless steels that they use for the handles, similar to in the Squid, those are, from what I understand, pretty cheap to make, and it's a pretty cheap material to use, and so it does not take much cost or effort to manufacture these stainless steel liners. right? Just two thick slabs of steel kind of milled out. Pretty standardized now. Compare that to a solid carbon fiber handle. It's going to have a much higher strength to weight ratio, much lighter. It's more of a premium sort of high caliber material. It's super fancy looking, that's for sure. It's just one of those things that is always going to cost more. And this is not something you typically find in a lot of really low-end budget knives that get down into the $25 range. I don't know that you can find carbon fiber on a sub $50 or even a sub $90, $100 knife. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head. I know Civivi does some carbon fiber stuff, but most of their carbon fiber knives are paired with Damascus, and those end up being closer to $100. So let me know if there's a carbon fiber handle knife that is, less than $80 to $90. I'd be very surprised. So there's the handle material. Next, not quite as obvious maybe, but just the action kind of goes into the overall build quality, which is something you notice in a lot of ways. But the action may be one of the more notable ones. So this guy, I can barely flick it. You can. I don't know. It might be hard to tell on camera, but I'm pulling this pretty hard, and it's pretty rigid. It's pretty stiff, and so the action is not really reliably flickable. Yeah, there you go. And well, you may be saying, "Oh, just loosen the pivot." Well, if I loosen the pivot even any more than it is right now, this blade. Oh, and you can't tell, but maybe you can tell. Probably can't tell, but it already is got more blade play than I would ever be happy with in a more expensive knife. And the action's already super stiff. And this is oiled up, and I did take this apart a while ago to clean it out. So that's just one of those things. I wouldn't expect this to have buttery smooth action because it's a $25 knife. One I would expect something like this to have buttery smooth action, and it does. So that's great. This one does not have any blade play. Give me a second. I don't like to get my greasy fingers on the blade. That lockup is solid. Not that you can tell anyways. But, just that action. And that is somewhat to do with the axis lock, which is another thing on this list. You have the Benchmade, well, it's no longer patented. It was the Benchmade patented axis lock, but that is something that also kind of factors into the cost. And it's this, in my opinion, superior locking mechanism compared to this budget frame lock, which is very difficult to engage or disengage, and kind of hurts my thumb after a while because they don't really do anything to this edge on the stainless steel here, and so it's kind of harsh. Compare that to another more expensive knife, the WE 604, which is also a frame lock. It's very different. They have a very slight jimping here, which is just one of those things that makes the frame lock that much easier to, disengage. And it's those things that you get in a more premium knife because it's those little details that really matter. And this $25 Gerber does not have that. In contrast to the axis lock on the bug out. Now I just want to be very clear. I'm not hating on Gerber or budget knives. I still bought this for a reason, and I do like my fair share of budget knives. I think the CRKT Squid is absolutely phenomenal. I'm not saying that these knives are necessarily horrible and that they're not worth having, and that you need to have more expensive knives. That's not true. I think they absolutely serve a purpose, and they're absolutely great for what they are and for how much they cost. I'm just highlighting the differences for someone who may not know or just may be interested to compare, what exactly makes a knife more expensive? Well, I'm trying to go through those things. Not to say that Gerber is a bad company or anything like that. This is just strictly a comparison. So I had the locking mechanisms. One other thing you can look at is the clip. So the bug out clip is mounted in my preferable position, tip up. I think a lot of people prefer it that way, and you see that in a lot of higher end knives. Not exclusively, but I think that's usually the case. Also, you get reversible options, And it's a standard hole pattern where you can switch out other Benchmade clips or even custom clips. Take this one, for example. There's only one place it can be, tip down, which I don't really like. And it's just a strange shape, so you can't flip it over, you can't move it to the other side, and you can't really put... I don't think there's anybody making custom clips, nor is, you know, this interchangeable with other Gerber clips. So that's another thing. It's minor, but it's a detail. Another thing, typically what I've found is that the hardware on these budget knives tend to lose their fidelity a little faster. What I mean by that is, you know, stripping. And I had a really hard time with this Gerber, in fact, because I don't know if I can even see it on the camera. But these screws, these torque screws, it's going to be hard to tell, but this is after one time of trying to get it undone, and they stripped pretty bad, like almost immediately. Now, I've never had those kinds of experiences with even slightly higher end knives, because I think they're just built better, and they're slightly better materials, more attention to detail, and they're just built better. And so those are things that factor into the cost. Let's see, what else? What else makes a Benchmade more expensive than a Gerber? Oh, well, the obvious that I forgot to mention, the Benchmade is manufactured in the United States of America. The Gerber is manufactured in China. Now, say what you will about whatever your opinions are on that, doesn't matter. The fact is, American products are more expensive. American products made in the U.S. soil with American labor is more expensive. Whether that translates to quality or not is strictly up to you. I mean, we could at some point compare two $250 knives, China, America. What's the quality difference? I'm not going to get into that right now, but it's just a fact. USA made is going to have a higher cost. That's just how it is. So that's the list that I can think of. In terms of, you know, is this 10 times greater than the Gerber? Well, I kind of think so. I certainly carry it a lot more often than 10 times more than this one. I never carry this, and this guy does not leave my pocket often. And if it does, it's probably in exchange for another bug out, or this guy, or a Spyderco or something. I tend to really enjoy the feel of a high quality production knife because of those little factors that I talked about. The action, the comfort of the closing, the fidgetable nature of them. I know I can rely on it more when it has a more upgraded blade steel. The handle materials, if it's lighter, it's going to be more comfortable to carry. Or, again, more reliable, although I would say stainless steel, you're not going to have an issue with this breaking. But, in general, I like the feel of a slightly more upgraded knife. That's not to say that these aren't absolutely useful and absolutely have their merits, because they do. But anyways, that's it. This video is just a little bit of a ramble on this topic, because it's something I noticed having this Gerber on my table. And I just wanted to put this out there and get some thoughts on the channel. So if you guys, if you have any other ideas in agreement or in disagreement, please pop them in the comments below. And if I even get enough comments, maybe I'll do a video responding to some. But yeah, that's I'm going to wrap this up here. Bug out versus paraframe. Why is this one more expensive? Well, for the reasons I just mentioned. Blade, handle materials, overall build quality, action, made in the United States of America, hardware quality. I mean, in my opinion, it also looks a heck of a lot better, but that is completely subjective, so I will withhold that one from the list. But anyways, thanks everybody so much for tuning in. Definitely be on the lookout for a couple more exciting videos coming up. I've got something pretty cool in the mail that I'm impatiently waiting for, and then I've got a couple other ideas that I think are going to be pretty fun to shoot. So we'll see you all real soon. Take care.